Rwanda is often praised as a post-genocide success story, a beacon of stability in Africa. But behind the carefully crafted image lies a darker reality, a regime built and sustained by Western powers, serving as an extension of NATO's reach on the continent. And in eastern Congo, the M23 rebellion acts as Rwanda's proxy, a militia that ensures imperial interests are protected while millions of Congolese people suffer the consequences. To understand this, we need to go back to the Rwandan genocide of 1994. The horrific killing of hundreds of thousands of Tutsis and moderate Hutus is often told as a story of African ethnic hatred. But what's usually erased is the international dimension. Paul Kagame's Rwandan Patriotic Front, which eventually took power, was trained and supported by, surprise, the United States and the United Kingdom. Kagame himself received military training at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. So when the genocide ended, the Rwandan government was immediately embraced by Washington and London. Kagame was hailed as a visionary leader, despite a record of political repression, assassinations, and expansionist wars in Congo. Western governments found in him a reliable client who could advance their interests in Africa, especially in the resource-rich Great Lakes region. Within just 2 years, Rwanda invaded the Democratic Republic of Congo, then known as Zaire, under the pretext of pursuing genocidaries. This unleashed one of the bloodiest wars since World War II, sometimes called Africa's World War, killing millions. This cannot be a coincidence. These invasions were not simply about security. They allowed Rwanda, with Uganda, to plunder Congo's vast mineral wealth: coltan, cobalt, gold, the very resources essential for Western tech and military industries. Reports from the UN documented how Rwandan forces systematically looted Congo, while Western companies quietly benefited from the flow of cheap raw materials. Yet the Kagame regime continued to receive military aid, training, and diplomatic protection from the United States and Britain. This is imperialism in practice, violence abroad masked as stability at home. Fast forward to the 2010s and today, the M23 militia emerges in eastern Congo. Its fighters are trained, armed, and supplied through Rwanda. This isn't speculation. UN investigations, Congolese officials, and even Western NGOs have documented Rwanda's direct involvement. M23's role is to destabilize eastern Congo, carve out zones of control, and secure access to strategic mines. In other words, they do the dirty work for Kigali, which does the dirty work for Washington and London, allowing Rwanda to deny responsibility while reaping the benefits. And since Rwanda's army is itself heavily funded and trained by NATO members, M23 can be seen as a proxy of a proxy, an indirect NATO-aligned militia operating in one of the most resource-rich regions of the world. Now, NATO will tell you it has no official operations in Congo. But look closer. Rwanda contributes troops to NATO missions abroad, in Afghanistan, for instance, giving NATO the appearance of a global coalition. In return, Rwanda receives military aid, officer training, and political cover. Washington and London use Rwanda as their regional policeman. This is how imperialism functions in the 21st century. NATO doesn't need to plant its flag in Kinshasa. It just needs local allies who can enforce Western interests while outsourcing the bloodshed to African troops and militias like M23. The endgame here is control over resources and influence. Congo's coltan powers your smartphones, your laptops, your fighter jets. Cobalt is vital for green energy batteries. Whoever controls eastern Congo controls the backbone of 21st century industry. Rwanda's role, backed by NATO members, is to ensure those resources continue flowing westward cheaply, regardless of how many Congolese lives are destroyed in the process. So when you hear that Rwanda is a peacekeeping champion or that NATO is helping Africa, remember the bigger picture. Behind the rhetoric of stability and humanitarianism lies a system of proxy wars, looting, and domination. Rwanda, backed by Washington and London, and M23 as its armed extension represent NATO's indirect presence in the heart of Africa. This is not about peace, this is about empire, and Congo, once again, pays the price.